The Series 1993 champion Tim Steele hopes to forge a new record today. With a victory here at Michigan, he could become the winningest super speedway driver in ARCA history.
And Tim Steele currently shares that record for ARCA Super Speedway wins with 3 other drivers. They each have 8. Today he goes for number 9. He already has 5 wins this season, but this team has struggled at this track with this car. So the obvious question to ask this driver is, can you get to the front again today, Tim Steele?
You know, I'm hoping we can bring this HSI Simlink 4 Thunderbird, you know, right up to the front. You know, the guys have been working their butts off all week. I made a bad choice on which car to bring here, and I'm wishing we had the one that's in the trailer, you know, but we've been beating it around, and they've had the rear window out, changing things in the back of the car. And, you know, I think we might have the winning combination right now. At least I'm hoping so anyways.
We'll see what happens. Tim Steele rolls off 6th. Right next door, starting 5th, is young Ron Barfield, 25 years old. He's running a blended schedule that includes the ARCA Series, the Craftsman Truck Series, and the Busch Grand National Series. He also has one more thing going for him. In his corner, car owner Bill Elliott. In fact, he qualified Elliott's car for tomorrow's Winston Cup race. Now the field fires to life on pit road. Outside the front row is young Kelly Denton. He had a spectacular ride at Atlanta before he wrecked. Then he came right back to win the pole at Charlotte. He's 23 years old. And on the pole for the first time in ARCA Series history, Mark Thompson. On Thursday, he put his 66 Midway Island Phoenix Air Ford on the pole. He's looking for his first ever ARCA win. He thought he had his best shot at that here today, but that was before last night when he put his primary car in the wall after something broke in the rear end. There's a $3,000 bonus, and his first ever career victory is waiting for him if he can get to victory lane today. But it's going to be a lot tougher than he expected. Mark Thompson starts at the very end of this long field. Now for more on today's race, up top to Ned Jarrett and Ray Dunlop.
Well, Bill, Mark Thompson's going to have a tough job coming from the back. Not only does he have a lot of race cars to pass, but many of those that he qualified several miles an hour faster, they'll be back there racing side by side. So it's going to be tough coming up through the field. And then, Ray, when he gets up too near the front, there's a lot of very good cars there that'll be especially hard to pass.
Well, that's absolutely the truth, Ned. On the front row, Andy Hillenberg in a Kenny Schrader car, and Kelly Denton in number 86. That's a former Kenny Bernstein car. The second row has Ron Barfield in a Ford. That's owned by Bill Elliott. And Bob Hill in number 46, that's a former Ricky Craven car. So 4 really good Winston Cup cars, ex-Winston Cup cars, I should say, that are up front. And then 8 of the front cars broke the old track record.
And Bob Jenkins, one other thing that they're going to have to battle here this afternoon, as you can see our hair blowing around, there's a stiff wind here, and at the speeds they run here at the Michigan International Speedway, it definitely will affect the handling of the cars.
But the sun is shining. That's the other good news. Well, we do have 11 races completed in the series this year. Tim Steele, the points leader, just 5 points separate second and third, and further down 5 points separate Dill Whittemore and Perry Tripp. The 95 champion Andy Hillenberg is 10th in the point standings. He is not defending his championship. Well, we know one thing for certain. There will be a new winner, as no previous winner is in the field here at Michigan today. Jeff Purvis has won the last 3 events here at this racetrack and ARCA competition. However, he's chasing the Busch Grand National point standings this year. Now, some other names to follow. Stacy Compton, who performed so well in the Winston Cup race at Martinsville, Virginia earlier this year, is in the field. And 4 you Thunderheads that follow our ESPN2 Thunder Series, Jimmy McCune and Doug Coletta, a couple of midget and sprint car drivers, are in today's field here at Michigan International Speedway. ESPN Speed World has a lot of motorsports action for you today. At 6:30 over on ESPN2, it's the roll for the pole as the Indy cars qualify for tomorrow's Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200. And then at 7:30 tonight here on ESPN, NASCAR's All-Pro Series and the Coca-Cola 200 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, both of those from Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee. Today, however, from Brooklyn, Michigan, it's the Meijer Allsport 200 for the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series. Well, Mark Thompson is dropping back from his front row position. We have in-car cameras riding with him today. Looks like he's coming into the pits.
And you wonder, Bob, if maybe since he's going to have to start in the rear, maybe he'll just come in and take on what little fuel he burned on these pace laps.
That's exactly what's going on. The crew moves in and puts in probably just a very small amount of fuel, but it could be the difference. And our other in-car camera for you today rides with the driver who is now going to lead him to the flag from the pole position. He qualified third, but moves up into the inside front row position because of Thompson's misfortune yesterday. That, of course, is Andy Hillenberg. Take a look at the starting lineup here for today's 100 lap. That's 200-mile race on the 2-mile high-banked tri-oval here at Michigan International Speedway. Thompson on the pole originally will be dropping back. And there you see the others that start in the top 15 here this afternoon, including Bobby Boucher, former series champion, starting in 12th position. There's Jimmy McCune that I mentioned, one of the ARCA and USAC midget drivers that is starting in the stock car race here today in 14th position. Stacy Compton goes from 16th spot. And on down the list, Joe Hausman is not going to be starting the race because that's the car that Mark Thompson is in.
Well, absolutely, and Hausman had a nice qualifying run, was all excited about running the race here. He ran with us at Pocono last weekend, but hasn't gotten a lot of super speedway experience. Then when Mark put it in the wall in practice, he had to use that car as his backup.
And the 33rd and 34th starters will be dropping out of the field very quickly. We're going to take a quick break before the green flag here at Michigan.
A decade ago, Suzuki unleashed the original GSXR. It created a new category of motorcycle. Win after win, time after time. We never stopped refining. And now the time has come again. The all-new GSXR 750 is finally here. Because something this fast can't be rushed.
Enter the Performance Zone with split-fire Performance V spark plugs.
You hit your passing gear, you're gone.
Experts say split-fire Performance V spark plugs mean more horsepower and better mileage.
The difference in gas mileage has been fantastic.
Enter the Performance Zone only with split-fire Performance Vs, guaranteed. And for more power at any RPM, get split-fire Performance V twin-core wires.
When the Hendrick team switched to Quaker State this year, I was talking with my crew chief about it, and he said they ran through all these tests. The dyno, camshaft test, and all these others, right? And the stuff beats all their standards. So I said, but don't forget, we won 8 races with last year's oil. And he said, yeah, but don't you forget, we also lost 24. Tough crowd. Hey, guys, come on.
Quaker State exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
Bud One airship flying overhead Michigan, giving us a beautiful view of this starting grid as it comes around and turns 3 and 4 and gets set for the green flag. And another great crowd on hand here for this race today. There is part of the crowd as they rise off their seats and salute the drivers who come down off of the 4th corner looking for the green flag, and they get it. Green flag is out, and here we go for 100 laps.
Alexander not getting a really great start there. He kind of dropped back about 4 or 5 car lengths right off of the start. But Kelly Denton really got a good shot as he came around Andy Hillenberg and now leads this race.
I think there was a little bit of contact there in turn 2, Ted, between those two.
It looked like they might have touched just a little bit.
And the 7 car, that is Doug Coletta, the 1994 USAC Sprint Car champion, off the pace already and smoking as he comes through the north banking in turns 3 and 4. One lap has been completed.
Bob, this is the only Chrysler product that's in the field today. It's owned by Charlie Newby, who's a veteran campaigner in this series. And some smoke out of the 52 car there, Andy Hillenberg, who's running second.
Man, some major smoke came out of that thing.
And Barfield,
and more smoke now as he comes onto the backstretch.
Barfield wisely backed off when he saw that first puff of smoke, and then when he got himself positioned when it did let go, and caution is out.
Yep. Caution coming out for the first time. Andy Hillenberg with all kinds of problems. This is the Ken Schrader-owned car that began from the inside of row number 1, but on the second lap it began to smoke, and it is now down on the apron of the racetrack and limping to the pit area.
Hillenburg's last 3 finishes in this series have been excellent. He finished 3rd at Talladega, and at Charlotte he ran 3rd and 2nd, so he's certainly a contender in every race that they enter. Last year he won at Daytona, and that's a tough break.
This is only his 6th race of the year. He's not competing in all the events. Here's the replay. Now watch what happens as he comes off of corner number 2 onto the backstretch. Just a huge puff of smoke.
Yeah, we had already seen a little bit of smoke prior to that, and then it really let go as it came off of turn 2. Let's go to the pits and Bill Weber for more.
Well, Andy Hillenburg has rolled in here, and he reported to his crew that it just started losing power when he came off the second turn, and then it just blew up. He's here. They're looking under the hood. They're hopeful, but not very optimistic. So Andy Hillenburg, who qualified 3rd, rolled up to take him to the green flag after the 66 went to the rear of the field, sits on pit road. A disappointing start.
The 1995 champion out early here in this Meijer Allsport 200 for the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series at Michigan. Caution is out on the speedway. We'll take another quick break and be back with more live coverage here at Michigan International Speedway.
In Denton, Texas, a lot of folks who work on their cars go to AutoZone because they know they're going to find quality parts, low prices, great selection, and good people like Tom Robinson. You see, Tom's the kind of guy who really likes to help folks out. And since he's been around cars most all his life, he knows his parts, too. Oh, sure, there are other parts stores in town, but when it comes to getting the right part, the right price, and good advice from folks like Tom, there's just no place better than AutoZone.
They have sale prices on top of their everyday low prices.
The produce is always fresh.
Getting a battery charger for motorcycles.
Just bought a toaster for my daughter.
Tennis shoes.
Hammers, nails.
You can find just about anything in here.
I love your sales. Can't beat it.
How do you keep track of everything that happens in the world of motor racing? You drive with us. RPM tonight, the ultimate wrap-up of the day that was in the world of motor racing. Monday through Friday at 7 and Sunday at 8, only on ESPN2.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Meijer Allsport 200 from Michigan is being brought to you by Splitfire. Enter the performance zone with Splitfire Performance V spark plugs. By Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards for engine protection. And by Suzuki. Your Suzuki motorcycle and ATV dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. Still under caution here at Michigan. However, they're being given the one more lap to go signal. So next time around, the green will come out. And Bill Weber standing by with Andy Hillenburg.
And he's just climbed out of his AC Delco Chevy. You're disappointed. What happened, Andy?
We lost the engine on coming down for the green. I ran it too long, I think, in 3rd gear. It didn't do it any good. I mean, that didn't blow it up right then, but you know, coming off of 2, I thought I lost the ignition box because we've lost 2 in this car here. I'm practicing it in Charlotte, and I switched boxes and just blew right out the bottom end. But first motor failure we really had in a year and a half, and you know, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. And you know, we'll be back with AC Delco car at Talladega next month, and maybe we can win a race there.
Short day for Andy Hillenburg. Still able to smile though.
The 1985 sprint car champion at Bloomington, Indiana Speedway moved down to the southeast and founded the Fast Track Driving School and won the championship for ARCA last year. Well, coming up next, it's the Senior PGA Tour, the Bell Atlantic Classic, Round 2 from Malvern, Pennsylvania. That's coming up right after the conclusion of our coverage of this race.
Bob, a couple of things as we get ready for a restart. Tim Steele has moved from his 6th starting position up to 2nd, and Mark Thompson came back in the pits on this last caution lap, top that fuel off again. That could become a factor here, so just wanted the fans to know that in case he stays out there a good bit longer. We're running a long ways under green here.
Well, Ned, I talked to Mark Thompson earlier, and he said that he thinks they could go with just one stop around lap 50, and if that strategy plays true, this could be a big advantage for him of having come down pit road.
He's already been in 3 times. He came down on the 2 parade laps and then also made a stop on this caution flag, so he is definitely planning some strategy regarding fuel mileage. Green flag comes out. Kelly Denton is the leader of the race. Tim Steele is second, then Ron Barfield as they head once again for turn number 1.
Denton and Steele were able to pull away a little bit from the 3rd and 4th place cars, and 3rd's about to change.
Yeah, good battle for 3rd here as Harris Devane moves to the inside of Ron Barfield on the backstretch and takes over 3rd spot. So Devane comes up to 3rd now, although there's a bit of separation between 2nd and 3rd. Tim Steele right on the back bumper of Kelly Denton. 7 car of Doug Coletta still smoking on the racetrack, and now Steele makes a bid for the lead into turn number 1. He pulls to the inside of Kelly Denton and can't get the job done.
I think his car might be a little bit loose going into that turn, Bob. That's one of the things that he was concerned about. This race car didn't have as much downforce. This is a car that he normally runs at Daytona and Talladega. He thought the high speeds here at Michigan would be just right for him, but he found out once he got it on the racetrack, he'd already entered the car here, so he had to run it, that it didn't have the downforce that it needed for these wide sweeping turns.
Coming into this race, Tim Steele had led 861 laps on super speedways. That's second all time. Charlie Glotzbach has over 1,000, so Tim has a way to go to get into that part of the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series record book, but he's sure giving Kelly Denton some fits out there.
You know, race drivers, it seems like, come from all facets of auto racing or motorsports. Tim Steele started his racing career on ice. Now imagine that. There's the pack behind 1st and 2nd. Harris Devane, Barfield, there's Hill in car number 46.
So he has caught up to the 3rd and 4th place cars. He had dropped back a little bit here. Steele, he's going to try it once again, coming off the turn this time. Now, if he can clear it before he gets into turn 1, he'll be okay. I think once Tim Steele gets out in front, I think that he will be okay. It looks like he does have him cleared now going into turn 1.
Just past the start-finish line, Tim Steele makes the pass successfully, and we have our 2nd leader of the race.
Kelly Denton sat on the pole at Charlotte, and I'll tell you what, he got out of that car, and I says, Kelly, what'd you think of that run? He says, I never knew I could do something like this. So the kid's getting a lot of experience here, and we see a car coming onto pit road. That's Rick Eckert in the 00 car there, and so some trouble for them early.
Crew goes to work on the 00 car, changing tires on the right side. Meanwhile, they continue to run very close for 1st and 2nd, and then a whole line of cars behind them. Kelly Denton is a rookie this year. As far as rookie points are concerned, he's 2nd in points to Blaze Alexander, but he has had some very, very good runs this year.
See Dale Kreider right there in number 15. He's racing with Stacy Compton, and of course Stacy has had an excellent year as he made the Winston Cup show down there at Martinsville, and really what he's trying to do today is just get some seat time. We talk about that an awful lot, but it's very valuable for him to go to a lot of the Winston Cup tracks, and he plans on running quite a bit with us in ARCA this year due to the fact that he can get on the super speedways where the Winston Cup cars go.
Stacy Compton was very competitive on that half-mile track at Martinsville, Virginia, and I'm sure he's going to be competitive on the super speedways, but just needs to get a little seat time, and that's what he's doing here this afternoon.
He can talk to everybody in the world, every great race driver there is, about what do you do when in certain situations until you get out there and do it. That's when it really, you get the real feel of being a race driver and what the conditions are.
This particular car that you see in the back of the screen there, number 64, we were talking about some former Winston Cup cars in the field. That was an A.G. Dillard car, so we used to have Hardy's sponsorship on it before Stacy bought that particular car. Stacy
hails from the Lynchburg, Virginia area. Watching here the battle for 13th position. Kreider's in 13th and Compton is in 14th as they come down to complete another lap, and 11 laps out of 100 have been completed now.
QMI oil on the hood of Dale Kreider's car there. You know, he comes basically from a road racing background. He's done a lot of SCCA and IMSA racing, but throughout this season he's had a pretty good run in the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series. We've seen Kreider on most of the super speedways, and he finished 12th at Charlotte and 13th at Pocono, so he's having some good runs.
Hey, we got a bid for the lead coming off of turn 4. I think Kelly Denton has stayed right on the back bumper of Tim Steele, and that makes Tim's car even looser. Now, this is speculation on my part, but after talking with him yesterday and the problems he was having with downforce, he would like to have gotten away. If he could have gotten 3 or 4 car lengths out in front of him, that would have been okay. But as close as he's running there right now, that's making that car much looser. And as a result, the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th place cars are catching up to them. They're not running as fast now with Tim leading the race as they were when Kelly Denton was leading the race.
Well, Denton just will not be shaken. He is within just a car length or so and closing in once again on Tim Steele.
Now, Harris Devane is really, he's there with them now as they come past the start-finish line.
Car number 21, Bobby Boucher, apparently off the pace on the racetrack.
Michigan International Speedway has certainly been the worst track in Bobby's career. They have just had awful luck here in car number 21.
Hey, there's an outside pass that Kelly Denton put on the Steele, took the lead, and now Harris Devane goes inside Tim and tries to take away second place. Steele will race him, however, to 3. No, he won't.
No.
He gives the position to Harris Devane.
Yeah, he was going to get in there faster than he wanted to. That was a gutsy move by Denton. Move up on the outside, had himself a good run, saw the opening out there and took advantage of it.
And there is Boucher as he comes down the pit area very slowly. Boucher. They're going to take the pins out and raise the hood. Let's go down to Bill Weber, who can give us an update on what's happened down in the pit area recently.
Well, Bob, the 00's been in and out. Rick Eckert thought he had a bad vibration. Well, he didn't think. He knows he has a bad vibration. They started with the tires. That wasn't it. They went under the hood, and they couldn't find it, so he's going to run a couple more laps and then bring it on back in. Mark Thompson's car is loose in and loose off, so he's got to fight his way through the field with a handling problem they'd like to get fixed. And Tim Steele running up front, but trying to hang on tight, trying to chase down those guys.
Yeah, he's fallen back a little bit now as both Denton and Devane have pulled away from Tim Steele in 3rd position. And by the way, Mark Thompson has moved up to 17th after dropping back at the beginning of the race. We're 15 laps into the Meijer Allsport 200 for the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series at Michigan. We'll be right back.
Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant Ford sales leader. But how do they sell more Fords for less? Well, until now, they've done it with volume pricing and volume selection. But now, Sarasota Ford introduces their price protection guarantee, which assures Ford buyers the lowest possible price. And we'll even put that in writing. Volume pricing, volume selection, and now low price guarantee. No wonder more Ford buyers pick Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant volume sales leader.
Home ownership is within your financial reach. Just ask your realtor. A realtor can explain the tax-saving value of home ownership, discuss current market conditions, suggest ways to put together a down payment, tell you about financing programs, and then help you buy a home within your financial means. Almost everyone can afford a home. Consult a professional realtor today. Look for the real estate offices that display the big R and watch Classivision Channel 19.
Mets have the youngest team in baseball, but don't call big-time batsman Todd Hundley and Jose Vizcaino kids. The Reds Mets, the Sunday night baseball game of the week, tomorrow at 8, only on ESPN.
Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State, the motor oil that exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
The race to get into victory lane for Tim Steele really began yesterday afternoon and continued at 7 o'clock this morning. This is crew chief Tom Sokolowski, and you're going to tell us what's going on here.
Well, in the first practice, the car was real loose. It's a super speedway car, and we need a high downforce car here. So what we're trying to do is get some downforce to the rear of the car, make it more stable for the race.
Walk us through all the work you've been doing. Show us the work that's been going on.
Well, for starters, on the roof here, we took all the Bondo out of the roof, so the air will come back off to the spoiler. We added a downforce window, which is not in yet, which will give us a little more downforce to the back to the spoiler, roll the air back to the spoiler instead of over the top of the spoiler. We flattened out the C-pillars and rolled them in a little bit so the air will roll over and hit the spoiler. And hopefully everything will work out good today.
Okay, they've got 5 wins coming in here, working hard to get number 6 today.
Well, it's not working especially well. Tim has dropped back to 4th position. The caution has come out because of debris over in turn number 2. This could be a very welcome caution for Tim, who can now come in and make some adjustments.
I would say so, Bob. I think they take advantage of this caution to come in and make some adjustments. His car was getting very, very loose. It was obvious as other cars were passing him out there. Craig Rubright in car number 45 seemed to be having a problem. Don't know if this debris might have come off his car or what the situation would have been.
In any case, the pace car is at the front of the field. Kelly Denton right behind. Then Harris Devane, Barfield, and Tim Steele, who had just fallen back to 4th position.
Guys, these front 3 cars in a row here are all developed for intermediate track racing. Kelly Denton bought that car from the Bernsteins. They had raced that particular car right here at Michigan. Tim Steele's car is a Daytona and Talladega car. And just like Bill told us in the track fact, that makes a big difference on a racetrack like this.
Saw the debris there in turn number 2 that the track workers will be coming out to retrieve. Well, there's the field summary for you, and we anticipate maybe some pit stops here. At least those that are handling poorly and need some adjustments made will come in, but probably those up front who are running okay will stay out there.
Well, the first 2 are staying out there, and the 3rd and 4th place cars are coming in. Ron Barfield and Tim Steele, and then a couple other cars that were back in the pack as well, coming down pit road.
Also coming in, the 56 of Dill Whittemore, and Bobby Gerhardt is also on pit road. Here's Bill Weber.
Tim Steele is here. Remember, the car is loose, very loose. They're going to try tires on the right side. Obviously, they're going to top off with fuel. Then they'll come around and put 2 new tires on the left-hand side. Ron Barfield is on pit road. He's going to get tires. The 66 of Mark Thompson is also on pit road. Now the jack goes under Steele's left side. He tosses out his drink cup. Looking to slap on the left side tires. Car still in the air. Clean off the front grill. A little bit of smoke pouring from out of there. Working on the front grill. Steele's ready to go. And off he goes down pit road. Thompson's still sitting there. Now Barfield finally pulls away. Steele will be behind him. And the rest of the cars leaving pit road.
51 of Ed Dixon remains on pit road. So does Mark Thompson in the 66 car. That's the one right at the top of your screen, the black car, now in the middle of the screen. Mark Thompson still trying to make corrections on his car to get it to run a little better. He was up to 13th when the caution came out, but they're making more adjustments to that car, which is not the one that he wanted to race here, but he has to because of his accident yesterday in the practice. 20 laps have been completed. We've got 80 to go here at Michigan International Speedway. It's the ARCA Bondo Marhite Series. Stay with us.
When people hear the Hendrick Motorsports team switch to Quaker State this year, they'll probably think Quaker State wrote us a big check. Well, that's not how it happened. First, it had to pass our camshaft test. Then it had to pass our dyno test. Then it had to pass a track test. Then they wrote us the big check.
Quaker State exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
Throw the Suzuki Katana 600 at a few of your favorite curves. You'll like how it feels, how it looks, and how much fun it is to ride. Pretty soon you'll realize that life will never be the same. The Suzuki Katana.
If it's metal and it's outdoors, it needs rust protection. Enter Krylon Rust Tough. Spray or brush on a beautiful finish so tough it even protects against the destructive elements of nature. Well, most of them. Krylon Rust Tough protects tough.
Presenting Armor All Vinyl Siding Wash. Just spray it on, wait 5 minutes, then rinse it off with a hose. And look, why, it's the greatest invention since vinyl siding. Armor All Vinyl Siding Wash.
When people hear the Hendrick Motorsports team switch to Quaker State this year, they'll probably think Quaker State wrote us a big check. Well, that's not how it happened. First, it had to pass our camshaft test. Then it had to pass our dyno test. Then it had to pass a track test. Then they wrote us the big check.
Quaker State exceeds the highest standards for engine protection.
Under caution here at Michigan, but the drivers are getting, when they come down here to cross the line, the one more lap to go signal, and a tremendous crowd had turned out here on this Saturday afternoon to watch this ARCA race. And Mark Thompson is back on pit road. He was in for a lengthy stop just a few moments ago. Did make it out before he lost a lap, but he's back in, Bill.
And Bob, this should be for left side tires only. They took a long time putting on the right sides, obviously trying to get the handling fixed as well, looking at the springs, and I'm not for sure, but may have been looking at a right front or a right rear rubber. Now they're putting on the left side tires. This is all they want to come in here and do. They'll top off with fuel. Thompson will be able to catch the field. One to go. Now he waits, and a little trouble with pulling away, but he's on his way. So Mark Thompson, who won the pole, crashed yesterday, has struggled here early, returns to the track.
Ned, when the leaders came in, that was 2 laps ago on lap 20 when Tim Steele came down pit road. Mark Thompson comes in on lap 22, so again he gets a little gas mileage advantage.
Yeah, but I really believe this was to get those left side tires. I think they put a rubber in the right front spring, which strengthens it quite a bit and will make the car tighter. Let's go back to the pits and Bill.
Just a couple more things on the Tim Steele car. When he came in, they did take a rubber out of the right rear, but he also wanted the tape pulled off the front grille to help give him a better handling car. They were unable to get that done. They were working on it, and that's something he really wanted to get handled, so we'll have to see how that car runs when he gets back out on the track.
And Bill, it's amazing at what a little strip of tape on the grille can do to the handling qualities of a race car. The more tape you put on it, the looser it is. And, yeah, I'm sure he did want that tape off of there. Make you feel much
like Tim is going to restart back in 12th position. He dropped back there to make the pit stop. Now the pace car has pulled off the track, and we are set to go back to competition. Kelly Denton is at the front of the field with Harris Devane running in 2nd spot. Then Blaze Alexander, Bob Hill, Harry Tripp, and Scott Neal. Devane took a look there to the inside of Denton in turn 1, but falls back in line.
Harris Devane, of course, a peanut farmer from Georgia, and he's picked up a new sponsor on car number 33. They have the Georgia Peanut Commission on the hood there, and the Georgia Peanut Commission basically said, we want to let people know that we're out there selling peanuts, and what better way to be on the hood of a peanut farmer's race car.
After one of their native sons wasn't president anymore, they needed another way to get the word out there, right?
That's exactly right.
That's right. Here's Mark Thompson. Let's see, he's back in 19th position at the moment.
Thompson's car doesn't seem to be coming up to speed at all. He's ducked in right behind Ed Dixon there as 3 cars go wide down the front straightaway. Gary Weinbrower right in front of them with the Race Fan Addict sponsorship on number 75. That's a race car owned by Bob Schacht, and Weinbrower down to the inside. Here goes Thompson, starting to get back up to speed, but that was a slow restart for Mark.
Stacy Compton is in the pits, an unscheduled pit stop for him. Right side tires.
Oh, under green flag conditions here, that's going to hurt him a bunch.
Yeah, he's going a lap down, and here are the leaders coming to the start-finish line. Devane all over Kelly Denton.
Stacy, by the way, was in the top 10. He was running 8th, but this unscheduled pit stop is going to drop him back dramatically. He loses a lap because of the pit stop, and Devane once again closes in on Kelly Denton. There is Stacy Compton. They're working on the left side of the car now.
Yeah, they're having all kind of problems, miscommunication there, Bob. They changed the right. Here we have a change for the lead as Devane gets a run coming off turn 2 and going into turn 3 and blasts right on by.
Well, this is the 12th event of the season in the ARCA Bondo Marhite Series, and Harris Devane has had 8 top 10s so far, so he's clicking off a pretty good season, and he moved right up just 5 points away from Bobby Bowser for 2nd place in the points. This is going to help him a bunch because Bobby Bowser's car is parked in the pit area.
He's got a couple of top 5 finishes, as a matter of fact, this year. He was 4th at Pocono and 4th at Kill Care Speedway over in Xenia, Ohio. And boy, I'll never forget the performance that he had down at Talladega. I didn't work the race, but I watched as a spectator, and it was great. He ran out of fuel, wasn't it, on the last lap?
Yeah. White flag lap. Mike Wallace beat him to the line.
Yeah. But Denton is not letting him get away. Kelly's staying within a car length or two of Harris.
And drafting definitely comes into play on this racetrack because they get close to 200 miles an hour at the end of these straightaways. And when you get that kind of speed, drafting is a force. And Kelly's doing a good job of it to be as new as he is in this type racing.
You know, guys, I talked with Andy Hillenberg extensively yesterday, and basically he said that he thinks within a couple of years they may have to go to a restrictor plate here at Michigan because the speeds have just been getting higher and higher. And as you said, Ned, go about 200 miles an hour. That may be too fast.
Looks like Tim may have some problems corrected. He passed the 24 car of Scott Neal, and we noticed some sparks from the bottom of that car. The 24 machine, which is right behind Tim Steele.
Yeah, it shouldn't be bottoming out on this racetrack. And so if it is, he definitely has too soft a setup in it.
Well, Scott Neal's crew chief came here and watched Sterling Marlin test a couple of weeks ago. They've been working with the Morgan McClure team quite a bit, and they tried to use their exact setup from that testing period here, and it may not be right with the Hoosier tires. Kelly
Denton has gone back into the lead. He passed Harris with relative ease over there in turn number 2, and now leads Harris down the backstretch. Well, these cars appear to be just about equally matched. We've seen them go back and forth a couple of times now in the first 28 laps. There's Ron Barfield coming to the inside of Perry Tripp. And that's the battle for 5th position. Barfield goes into 5th place. Just ahead of him is Bob Hill.
Tripp started in 10th place and has moved up to 5th, so a good run for Perry today in car number 6. Super 8 Motels is the sponsor on Ron Barfield's number 94 there. And boy, Bob Hill is off the pace.
Yeah, Bob Hill has dropped off the pace here in the tri-oval. He turned to the inside, keeping it low on the racetrack. And Bob Hill, who was running 4th, has problems.
Not only did Bob Hill come off the pace, but as we were talking about the number 24 car of Scott Neal, and he's lost power in that race car.
Here's Bill Weber.
Okay, well, Bob Hill has dropped the cylinder and is, for Stacy Compton, he had a cut right rear tire. So he came in, and as you guys pointed out, they struggled during the pit stop, but they got him back out. But a cut right rear is what brought him in. Bobby Bowser, blown motor, out of the race.
Oh, boy, that is going to really hurt him in terms of the points.
Stacy Compton lost 2 laps on that pit stop. He's currently being shown in the 19th position. 18 cars are on the lead lap.
And if you don't know which tire is going down or went down, you got to change all of them. That takes a long time. And there is the pit of Bob Hill, who has dropped off the pace here. They're talking about it.
This is Larry Clement right in the center of the picture there. That's the car owner of this race team, and they have to be very disappointed. They picked up Advanced Auto Parts as their sponsor here this weekend, and of course everyone remembers seeing Bob go end over end at Daytona in that horrible accident. They replaced their super speedway car with this particular car that he's driving right here, and they had high hopes for this race car today.
While we're watching Bob Hill go slowly around the track, let's check in once again with Bill.
Okay, Kelly Denton having a great race, doing a fine job, leading laps. The only problem is, well, the gas pedal fell off. So he is using that little rod that you attach the pedal to kind of work his way around this very fast Michigan track. So he's having a great day, but we'll need that gas pedal thing fixed after the race.
He must have some soft soles on those shoes.
How about that? There's Bob Hill. He's come in for a stop. They've got the hood up. They're looking it over. We'll get more on exactly what has gone wrong with Bob Hill when we return to Michigan International Speedway and the Meijer Allsport 200.
These help define a Consumer's Digest Best Buy and help explain why Dodge Caravan has been named a Best Buy 2 years in a row. These help define the Dodge Best Buy Celebration, and where you can get great deals on America's best-selling minivan, Dodge Caravan. Now with sliding doors available on both sides, even seats that roll in and out. The Dodge Best Buy Celebration. It just doesn't get any better. See the friendly Dodge dealer near you.
Advertising with Time Warner has allowed us to reach an enormous amount of people for a minimal cost. We have commercials on 10 different networks, which allows us to reach every customer we're trying to target. Cable advertising also gives us an opportunity to give something back to the community by sponsoring the post-game events for local athletes.
By far, Time Warner cable advertising is the best investment the Sears Appliance and TV has ever made.
Here comes Speed Racer, he's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's gonna be chasing after someone. Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go! Go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go Speed Racer, go! Go Speed Racer, go!
Hi again, Stuart Scott with you on the ESPN studios. We'll get you back out to the Meijer Allsport 200 shortly, but first, we'd like to remind you, immediately following the race, second round of the Senior PGA Bell Atlantic Classic. Yesterday in the first round, Gary Player looking for his 19th career win on the Senior PGA Tour. On the 15th, drains the birdie putt and gives it a shake of the fist. Player, though, among the golfers, tied for second. Three-way tie atop the leaderboard. Strobel, Acton, and Tom Wargo. Trevino withdrew with back spasms, as I said. ESPN coverage today at 2 p.m. Also on ESPN later on, after the Senior PGA Bell Atlantic Classic, the Bud Light Women's Pro Beach Volleyball Tour. That's at 4. At 5, Budweiser Upperville Classic. That is horse jumping. At 6, Caesars International Horse Racing. At Sports Center, 7, and at 7:30, the NASCAR All-Pro Senior Powerade. Bob Jenkins back with you at the race.
Thank you, Stuart, for the update and the rundown of what you can see later today on ESPN and the Deuce. We're at Michigan International Speedway, and it's the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series, and it's the Meijer Allsport 200 that's being led by the 86 car of Kelly Denton, and he has pulled away now from second place Harris Devane, who has begun to fall back a bit.
Yeah, he's over 3 seconds ahead. In fact, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars have caught Harris Devane. There we see him in second place, and right behind him is a battle, Blaze Alexander and Ron Barfield, almost side by side coming off of turn 4. There they are, the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place cars. So Devane is not running as good as he was earlier. Now remember, he nor Kelly Denton made a pit stop during the caution flag.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big factor, Ned. Tim Steele now running back in 7th, but he's got fresh tires. So does Mark Thompson, if they can get a handle on that car. So at some point later in the race, Kelly Denton's going to have to drop into the pits as well as Harris Devane and Blaze Alexander.
The 7 car of Doug Coletta has dropped out of the race. He has lost several laps. There you see 27 laps. He was down before he just brought it into the pit area. So Doug Coletta is out of his, as far as I know, his first ARCA race.
Yeah, that's correct.
Boy, what a great racing family, though. Connie and Scott, of course, are great drag racers, and Doug in the sprints and the midgets, and now in stock car racing. There is Tim Steele, who's back in 7th position, and there's the interval between Steele and Kelly Denton, who's already in the end of the backstretch.
Yeah, there's a good 1/3 of a lap. Kelly Denton just having it all to himself, but back behind him is still a good battle going on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
We wonder if Kelly learned something from the Atlanta race earlier this season, which we had here on ESPN. Remember, he was leading the race and having a really good run, and just ran those tires a little bit too long and spun on the front stretch and hit the wall. So maybe tire management will be a little bigger factor for them today.
Barfield and Blaze Alexander are side by side and wheel to wheel as they fight for that 4th spot.
Barfield got it beside him going into the turn, but again, at the speed you go into these turns, these turns are very wide here at the Michigan International Speedway, but you need it all when you go on the inside of a car going into these turns. Now Barfield looks like he has made the pass, but here comes Alexander back. Boy, did they get close.
Man, they sure did. Looked like Barfield had to get off the gas there as he made the pass, and Blaze Alexander had to get on the brakes, and that allowed Perry Tripp in that blue and white number 6 car to challenge him for the position.
I think Ron's problem is a little bit of handling. When he comes off of turn 2 and off of turn 4, you can see the car slow up a little bit. I think he has plenty of motor in that race car, an Ernie Elliott motor underneath him, but the car's not handling quite as well as he would like. And when Alexander backed out right there in the Elisa Express Chevrolet, Perry Tripp came up to take advantage of that, and he passed the 26.
Perry Tripp moves to 4th. Bob Hill out of the race. Here's Bill.
And he's just dropped the window net, and now he's just removed the helmet. He sits here in his car, his team working under the hood. Off comes the fireproof sock. Let's read the cleaner. Bob, what happened? Motor problem.
We just dropped the cylinder. Not sure what it is yet. You know, it just felt like it dropped one. I imagine something in the valve train.
Had a great qualifying run, but not to be today.
We seem to have continued our Michigan streak. I haven't finished one of these yet. Hopefully next time.
Done for today. Back up to you guys.
So Bob Hill drops out of competition. He went into this event 11th in the point standings.
Finished second in Atlanta earlier this season, so they've had some good runs, but certainly not to be today, that's for sure.
And Bob, the 10th place car, Jimmy McCune, is on pit road, changing all 4 tires. So don't know if he had a flat or what the situation was, but he's in the pits.
Tripp takes a look at Ron Barfield coming through the tribal. Here's 2nd, 3rd, and 4th right here, nose to tail. Here's Devane, 33, then Barfield, and then Tripp.
Good racing going on here from 2nd through 5th place. Add to the attrition rate, Bobby Dotter has dropped out of the race too.
Looking at that group right there, Bob, none of those drivers have gone to Victory Lane on a super speedway, so they would all like to get up there and give Kelly Denton a run for that, that's for sure. Today we will have a first-time winner here in Michigan no matter what, and the odds of it being Mark Thompson are pretty slim, because in the 9 previous races we've had here, only 1 race has been won from the pole, and that was Joe Ruttman, who did it back in 1980.
Right. Thompson, by the way, is up to 8th position. Now Barfield, once again, looking to the inside of Harris Devane. Harry Tripp, 3rd in line there, is another driver who comes to the ARCA Series with a great deal of open wheel experience. He's participated in several sprint and Silver Crown races in the United States Auto Club. And these shots that you're watching are courtesy of the Budweiser blimp, floating about 1,000 feet above the raceway with its eye-in-the-sky camera. It was a little cloudy here when we arrived at the Speedway this morning. As a matter of fact, it looked like it was going to rain, but the skies, as you can see, have cleared as the Budweiser Bud 1 airship floats leisurely over this 2-mile tri-oval.
Bob, another car that's been pushed into the garage area is Alan Russell. Car number 12 has been on pit road, David Hall, for 2 or 3 laps. So the attrition rate very high here this afternoon.
I think one of the factors that we could put into that mix right now is the fact that these guys have been racing so much. Last weekend we were at the Pocono International Speedway, 2 previous races in May at Charlotte, and it's really taken their toll on a number of the teams because they're not used to running that many races. Normally you'd have about 7 or 8 super speedways in a season in this ARCA Bondo Marhide Series, and this year there are 11, so that makes a bit of a difference.
And Kelly Denton just continues to motor around and pass slower cars. Here he is. And here's more on the leader of the race from Bill Weber.
Bob, he called in a couple of laps ago, Kelly did, and said the tires are starting to go away. Do you want me to ease up? And his crew told him, drive the way you feel. Harris Devane on pit road, the 33 car now on pit road. There is some concern that Kelly Denton can get halfway in this race. 50 laps. They thought they might only be able to go to 44. But the crew says that the caution earlier might have helped him, but he's got one eye glued to that fuel pressure gauge. Meanwhile, the 33 on pit road, he obviously couldn't get the halfway. Right side tires, and they're going to go around and put left side tires on for Harris Devane. Meanwhile, the 16 car, an update on Tim Steele. His water temperature very hot, was 250. He let the 66 go by, backed up a little bit, got some fresh air, got it down to 240. Long pit stop for Harris Devane.
He has already gone 1 lap down, and he's going to have to hurry, Bill, to get back out to stay just 1 lap down. I think he will be able to do that, but this is going to be a tough situation for him.
As far as Denton is concerned, he is also coming in. I was going to say he has less than 3 laps to go to the halfway point, but he comes in about to complete lap 47.
Well, this is pretty significant, Bob, because there was a 19-second differential between the leader, Kelly Denton, back to Tim Steele and Mark Thompson, so they'll be able to make up a good bit of that time because we're running under green here. And in just 3 laps from now, we'll pay the auto value halfway leader, which is $1,000. So Kelly Denton wanted to chase down that award. They just must have figured they're not going to make it.
But remember, the guy who's going to take over the lead here, car number 94, Ron Barfield, did make a pit stop too. Let's go to the pits and Bill Weber.
And Kelly Denton sits on pit road around to the right side first. This will be a 4-tire stop, putting plenty of fuel in the car. Now they come around to the left side. Jackman, apparently some miscommunication here. They weren't sure they were going to do 4 tires. The Jackman unaware, so he did not get to the position on time. This will cost them very valuable seconds as they continue to work on the left side of Kelly Denton's car. So the leader, who had a great race going, despite the fact that his gas pedal came off, now returns to the action. Very disappointing.
Yeah, that's too bad. There's a miscommunication there in the pit area. The Jackman wasn't anyways near the left side of the car when the tires needed to be changed. And now here Barfield and Perry Tripp are first and second as the 26 car Blaze Alexander has also come on to pit road.
You really have to question those guys not making pit stops when we had that caution, even though they hadn't run that long. But on a 2-mile racetrack, they had gone about
20 laps.
So it's 40 miles, and you have to question them not coming in at that time, and I'm sure they're questioning themselves right now.
One more lap and we'll have the halfway point of this event. 49 laps have been completed. Ron Barfield is your leader. Perry Tripp running in second position, and Tim Steele and Mark Thompson have moved up now to third and fourth as the 2 drivers running up front enter the end of the backstretch. And let's see who's going to win the money here at the halfway point. Barfield with about a 6 or 7 car length advantage now on Perry Tripp as Perry closes in a little bit in turns 3 and 4. Barfield now coming off of corner number 4. Tripp trying to make a run at it, but won't do it. And Ron Barfield has the halfway money as 50 laps have been completed. 50 to go here in the Meijer Allsport 200 as the crews have their charts out. We'll be back with more live coverage from Michigan in just a moment.
Extreme? Try strapping yourself with a 4,000-pound rocket. Then run at 220. 6 inches away from 41 of your closest friends. Real close. NASCAR. Extreme and always has been. Busch. The official beer of NASCAR and always has been.
Hey! Is that what I think it is? Yeah! It's my new Wagner Power Painter. Well, can you edge with it? Yeah, you can edge like this or adjust it to control the paint up close. And when I'm done, I'm gonna switch nozzles and stain my deck. Do a lot of other jobs I've been meaning to do. Well, does it clean up easy? Yeah, it's quicker than you think.
Why am I painting this by hand?
Good question. Get a Wagner.
They lead. They encourage. They inspire. And finally, they watch. As America's home improvement coaches, the people of the Home Depot believe in building dreams, just like the coaches of the athletes of the 1996 Olympic Games. We're also proud to include Ortho in our Home Depot Olympic family. They have always believed in quality, just like we do every day at the Home Depot.
Into Portland for the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200, Sunday on ABC Sports.
Back at Michigan International Speedway, it is Ron Barfield leading this race. Perry Tripp, who was in second position, made a pit stop just a lap ago. So Barfield now has the lead as Mark Thompson in car number 66 takes over second position. And the Extreme Games, the X Games, are coming up. The kickoff preview show Sunday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time on both ESPN and ESPN2. Then Monday at 8:30 on ESPN. Day 1 includes sky surfing, street luge, and more. And then finally at 12:30 a.m., join us for X Games highlights for a recap of all the day's action. That's at 12:30 a.m. Monday night, Tuesday morning. The X Games this coming week from Providence, Rhode Island. Riding with Mark Thompson, who's up to second place. Tim Steele is third. 4th, Bobby Gerhardt, and in 5th position is Ed Dixon.
A lot of the viewers will remember last year, Mark Thompson had a pretty violent accident here at Michigan during this race. He slid off at turn 4, and Bob Brevac made significant contact with his car there. This, however, was the car they didn't want to race this weekend. They ran it last year at Atlanta, and it's been parked ever since that time. And of course, he's crashed the primary car, and that was a car that his crew chief, Mike Brandt, had built from the ground up. They said, we're not going to go buy another Winston Cup chassis. We'll build our own.
Harris Devane has a little bit fresher tires on that 33 car and is trying to unlap himself. He's a lap down now in 12th position, and boy, they were 3 wide through there.
Yeah, he was in the middle of 2 other cars, made his car very loose. He did a lot of wiggle wagging through there, but he got through there. He's 21 seconds behind the leader. That's a little over half a lap.
Yeah. Good lead for Ron Barfield at the moment, and good in-car shot here from Mark Thompson's car. Harris Devane among those up front for quite a while, but he made a pit stop and lost a lap in the process. He's back again now in 11th position.
The leader, Ron Barfield, in the Super 8 Motels Ford really isn't a factor throughout the season-long point standings, but he is competing for the Super Speedway Championship. So every race is very important for him, but the next couple of guys in row there, we're talking about the 66 of Mark Thompson and Tim Steele. Those guys are fighting for the season championship. Thompson comes into this race in 9th position. Of course, Tim Steele with an incredible lead, over 500 points above Bobby Bowser and Harris Devane.
And here's Bill Weber.
And more on Ron Barfield. Not only is today's race important to him, but so is tomorrow's, because yesterday he practiced Bill Elliott's McDonald's Ford and then qualified it. He told me just before this race started today, it gave him a tremendous advantage, he felt, because he'd never really been to this track. So yesterday in Winston Cup practice, he followed the more experienced, more veteran Winston Cup drivers to get the line. And he brought that knowledge to this race today.
Good story. Boy, there are all kinds of uniforms in that pit crew.
I see a lot of Winston Cup crew members in there, yes. Different ones.
That's Ron Barfield's crew. You see a few McDonald's uniforms, but some Goodwrench and several others.
Now, he definitely will have to make another pit stop.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether it goes green or whatever.
We're on a record pace here. The race record is 133.284, and the average speed of this race right now is 142.180. We've only been slowed down twice by cautions. We'll be right back.
It's 400 miles of rocky, rutted trails with enough bumps and jumps to shake a truck to pieces. But if you think an endurance race through the Arizona desert is a real torture test for a truck, just imagine what it can do to a battery. That's why Parker 400 winners Dan Smith and Dave Ashley chose a battery they could depend on to go the distance. The Duralast battery. The same Duralast you can depend on for your car, because it's the one we stock at AutoZone. The Duralast battery. Power you can depend on.
C-Bike. Want bike. Buy bike. Get free helmet. Right now, during Suzuki Fest Summer, when you buy a sleek, responsive Katana 600 or 750, you get a hot Katana helmet totally free. Wow! You can also get some incredible deals, like 0 down, low monthly payments, or low APR financing. So come on into your participating Suzuki dealer. Get a hot new Katana, a great deal, and a free helmet to hide that silly grin.
Now, there's a brand new motor oil made to handle the stresses on your hard-working engine. 4x4 from Quaker State. Off-road driving. Extreme temperatures. Especially towing and hauling. They all make your light truck or 4x4 work extra hard and could shorten its life. Why settle for a conventional car oil? Get a synthetic blend that can take the punishment. 4x4. It's new from Quaker State. The intelligent oil for hard-working engines.
It's the Meijer Allsport 200 from Michigan International Speedway, the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series. And we're 60 laps into this event. It's a 100-lapper, 200 miles. And Ron Barfield, the leader of the race. However, we anticipate a pit stop very quickly. Tim Steele is in, Bill.
He just slid his number 16 Ford into the pit, shoving in the fuel. Right side tires are on. They're going to try and clean off the grill. They're going to have to cut the tape off. They couldn't pull it off earlier. It's taken a long time. Kept revving the engine. The 94 now going to be headed down pit road. So the 16 returns to the track, and Barfield will be heading down pit road. Ron Barfield.
Coming at you now, Bill.
They were hoping to go to lap 65, but now 61 on the board. And Barfield slowly makes his way down pit road. Gently nudges the car to the left. Eases it into the stall. Fuel going in. Working on the right side. Now they crank some wedge in the right rear. Come around to the left side, and it'll be a 4-tire change for Barfield. The 16 probably wishes they'd taken 4. Took so long to get that grill taken care of. Barfield sits, they'll wait and shove a little bit more fuel in there, and they make a wedge adjustment on the left side, and he returns to the track. The 94 car back into the race.
Almost a 24-second pit stop for Ron Barfield, but he's rolling out onto the pit area, from the pit area onto the track once again.
I believe Bob will have to wait until he gets out there and gets back up to speed, but I believe that he'll stay in the lead lap. He had a big lead, first of all, and then some of the other cars that have made pit stops too. The car number 51 that was running in 5th place, Ed Dixon, he made a pit stop, and so did the car number 45 of Craig Rubright, who was running up there. Also, they've made pit stops, so I think that he'll be able to stay in the lead lap.
Mark Thompson is the leader at the moment, and that is with whom we run right now down this backstretch here. And he is the 5th leader of this race. So Barfield stopped on lap 20, and he came in again on lap number 61.
So he should be able to go the rest of the way now as far as he's concerned. I think Mark Thompson will have to have at least a fuel stop before this race is over.
There's Mark Thompson, who again was supposed to start on the pole, but crashed during the practice yesterday and started at the back of the field.
Bob, before Ron Barfield made his pit stop, there were only 4 cars on the lead lap. Now, he did stay on the lead lap. According to scoring here, he is being shown in the 7th position. But see, that put a lot of other cars back on the lead lap when he made that pit stop, so there are 7 cars being shown on the lead lap now.
And at the same time, it also affected 2 other cars. You mentioned Ed Dixon and also Jimmy McCune. They dropped an additional lap there as Barfield got back out ahead of them, like you mentioned.
And Thompson is slowing down. He's going to come in for a pit stop. Down off the banking at the north end of the racetrack, and Bill Weber, he is headed toward you. Mark Thompson making what should be his final stop.
Well, when the race rolled off, he was on the pole, but when the green flag fell, he was at the rear of the field. Now 64 laps on the board, and Mark Thompson eases his Ford into the pit stall for the final time. This will be a 4-tire change. Fuel should not be a problem. We'll get him plenty to go the rest of the way. Working on the right side tires first. Lug nuts already off on the left side. The second can of gas goes in as the cars whiz by on the front stretch. Now they come around to the left side. Jack under the car, up it goes. Left front is on, left rear is on. They'll tighten the lugs. They clean off the grill. Thompson revving the engine, ready to go, waiting for the left rear. He's down. A little trouble getting it away. A little over 25 seconds for Mark Thompson on pit road.
Thompson looking for his first win here today in ARCA competition. He finished second on several occasions, but Thompson has never won a race. Bobby Gerhardt was running in 2nd position, and now he relinquishes that to make a pit stop. Here he comes down pit road.
Mark Thompson's favorite saying lately has been always the bridesmaid, never the bride, because the last 2 races he had the outside pole. This week he gets the pole, and what a disappointment to crash in the last practice. But he's having a good run today and staying right in there.
Well, let's watch the pit stop by the veteran Bobby Gerhardt, who slides to a stop, and the crew goes to work on the right side of that car. Pitted behind him, you saw there for just a moment, the 75 car of Gary Weinbrower, who's 2 laps down in 12th position.
Gerhardt's from Lebanon, Pennsylvania, and Bobby Gerhardt's Truck World is his primary sponsor, as he's a full-time businessman, comes out and does some racing with us here in the ARCA Series, and he's had a pretty good season so far. Gerhardt, his best finish so far was just a week ago at Pocono. He finished 5th over there.
A little bit of a chassis adjustment there, but only right side tires for Bobby. Harris, Devane, and Denton have found each other again, running for third position. Devane in 33 and Denton at 86. They're lapping the 37 car of Jimmy McCune.
You know, Bob, I asked Jimmy McCune what he thought about this racetrack because most of his experience comes on real short tracks. He was the IRP Rookie of the Year last year at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and he said, you know what, driving one of these big cars is like getting out of a Cadillac after you're used to driving one of these little sprint cars or a midget.
Does he run midgets for you guys too?
Yeah, he's done very well in ARCA in the midget series, also in USAC. I think he has like 17 career victories as far as features go, so he's been a pretty hot shoe.
Ron Barfield has taken over the lead now and has just lapped Tim Steele. Just put a lap on him a moment ago. That leaves 8 cars now in the lead lap. After Mark Thompson made his pit stops, we had about 11 cars on the lead lap there for a moment, and then Bobby Gearhart made a pit stop. He's a lap down, and Tim Steele was just lapped on the racetrack.
And as you pointed out earlier, these neither Steele nor Barfield should have to make a pit stop now. They should have enough fuel to go the remaining distance.
Now, it's questionable, I think, as far as Denton and Harris Devane are concerned. You know, they both stopped before the 50-lap mark, so they're probably going to need a little bit of fuel.
This was such an incredibly important race for Tim Steele. He's got a lot of sponsorship people that are here in the stands. They bought like 500 grandstand seats. He's probably a week or two away from making an announcement on next year's plans. I'm pretty sure he's going to go Winston Cup racing on a full-time basis. He's got a few of the details to work out there, but he's won 5 races in '96, and he won the last 3 races of 1995, so he's certainly on a hot streak.
There's a really good battle for third spot. I thought Denton was going to slide to the inside of Harris and take him on the backstretch, but no, Harris holds off the challenge of Denton now. Kelly once again comes, and contact sends Harris into the wall.
Wow. Here he is off of turn 4. Caution is out.
And that's our first accident of the day, and it comes on lap 70, just 30 from the end. Harris Devane, who had a good run going and was in third position, gets hit from behind by Kelly Denton and spun around into the wall. Roof flap came up to make sure the car did not get airborne.
That's a very tough break. He wasn't expecting it, first of all. And then once he was hit, there was not a great deal that he could do about it, but sitting there in that position, now he can't get the thing to move. Yep. One wheel's down in the gravel, and the other one up on the asphalt.
Pretty significant damage there, too, Ned. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get that fixed.
Let's watch it once again. You saw Denton come through turn number 3 and give him a little bit of a nudge and send him sideways.
Yeah, Denton had a good run coming off turn 4 there. A faster run maybe than he thought he was going. The 33 might have gotten a little bit loose coming off that turn, and certainly with the 86 car coming up on him, we'll look here and see if we can see the 33 car move a little bit. Looked like he did just before Denton hit him. He might have had to back off of the gas just a little bit as he came off the turn. And anyway, round he goes. A lot of damage to the car.
So Harris Devane, third in points, has a problem. Bobby Boucher dropped out of the race very early. Harris Devane has problems here. Tim Steele running in 8th position. The caution is out for the 3rd time. Our first accident of the day involving Harris Devane.
What do you get when you cross a high-quality conventional motor oil with an advanced formula synthetic? A revolutionary oil that protects better than regular oils, yet costs less than full synthetics. DuraBlend from Valvoline. Valvoline's the #1 choice of top mechanics.
They have sale prices on top of their everyday low prices.
The produce is always fresh.
Getting a battery charger for motorcycles.
Just bought a toaster from a daughter.
Tennis shoes.
Hammers, nails.
You can find just about anything in here.
I love your sales. Can't beat it.
High and low prices, on top of low prices, every day.
On Saturdays, your customers can receive 2-day packages from FedEx. Cost? An extra $10.
On Saturdays, your customers can receive 2 to 3 day priority mail packages from the U.S. Postal Service. Cost? $3, and there's no extra charge.
On Saturdays, your customers cannot receive 2-day packages from UPS. Sorry.
So, what's your priority? Priority mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
What do you get when you cross a high-quality conventional motor oil with an advanced formula synthetic? A revolutionary oil that protects better than regular oils, yet costs less than full synthetics. DuraBlend from Valvoline. Valvoline's the #1 choice of top mechanics.
Bob Jenkins, Ned Jarrett, and Ray Dunlap and Bill Weber. I'll get everybody's name thought up here in a moment. And we are back at Michigan. There is Harris Devane, who is out of the car after making contact with the third turn wall. He doesn't appear to be very happy with what happened up there in the banking.
No, and you really can't blame him. I mean, you know, he's sitting there running in the top 5, anticipating a good finish here, maybe even a win today, and then get tapped from the back. But we're going to take another look at it and see if we can determine if maybe his car did slip just a little bit right before he was hit. We'll move him up just a little bit further. Here comes Denton in the 86 car right up here. Now let's stop it right there. Okay, you see here, the car is coming up. That looks like the back end is hanging out a little bit. Right there, it looked like the back end of his car slipped just a little bit, went up the racetrack, and Denton had a good run going, coming off of there, and Devane maybe had to back off just a little bit there, and that might have been the cause for the hit. There you see, he came up and hit him, and around he goes, and then up into the wall. Not trying to make excuses for Kelly Denton by any means, but it did look like that the 33 car slipped just a tad.
Well, Denton is now on pit road right now, car number 86, and also Stacy Compton there. We might get an update from Bill Weber.
And the leader of the race is also on pit road. Ron Barfield radioed in. He thought he had a left rear going down. They talked about it. He said, I'm sure. They came in, got 4 tires, gave up the lead. He's back out on the track. We'll check the tires.
That's a bit of a surprise. We already documented he didn't need fuel, but he apparently felt that he had a tire going down, and so Barfield, the leader, comes in as others roll off the pit road. There comes Kelly Denton at the top of your screen. And there is Harris Devane making the long walk back to the pit area. Now, we documented as we came into this race that there was only a 5-point separation between Boucher and Devane in the point standings for second. Bobby dropped out of the race a long time ago. He's going to finish in 25th position. Devane was involved in the accident and will pick up more points. Blaze Alexander is currently running in 4th position, and Ed Dixon is running in 10th. Cleanup continues down in turn number 4, just past the entrance to the pit area. Meanwhile, there are only a little more than 25 laps to go. 73 have been completed, 74 when they come down this time. We'll be back with more live coverage from Michigan International Speedway in a moment.
Over 8 million Americans have problems with balance, dizziness, and fear of falling. If you're in this group, there is help.
The Balance Center of West Florida, operated in conjunction with the Ear, Nose, and Throat Associates of Manatee, is designed to help people suffering from balance and dizziness problems. Using state-of-the-art equipment and therapy, our team of physicians, audiologists, and rehabilitation specialists can diagnose and manage many of the causes and symptoms associated with dizziness. For a free brochure, call the Balance Center at 792-2876.
Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant Ford sales leader. But how do they sell more Fords for less? Well, until now, they've done it with volume pricing and volume selection. But now, Sarasota Ford introduces their price protection guarantee, which assures Ford buyers the lowest possible price. And we'll even put that in writing. Volume pricing, volume selection, and now low price guarantee. No wonder more Ford buyers pick Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant volume sales leader.
You're right. The real way to do it is take the body out and the head's going to fall. You got to rip. You got to dip.
Michael Nunn battles Everardo Armenta Sunday at 10.
Welcome back to Michigan, and a reminder that as soon as we finish up this race, you'll be seeing the Senior PGA Tour and the Bell Atlantic Classic. Round number 2 from Malvern, Pennsylvania. Bob Strobel, the leader, with 5 under par going into round number 2. And then later tonight, 6:30 on ESPN2, it's the roll for the pole as the Indy cars qualify for the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 at Portland International Raceway. And then tonight, well, Jerry and Benny and several other members of the team are down at Bristol Motor Speedway for the All-Pro Powerade 250 at 7:30, followed immediately at 9 o'clock by the Craftsman Truck Series and the Coca-Cola 200. We're still under caution here at Michigan, so we're going to take another quick break. We have got 25 laps to go in this one. 75 are completed, and we'll be right back in just a moment.
Conditions like these are torture on engines. But you can also damage engines in a more familiar setting. That's why there's an engine treatment for stop-and-go driving from Valvoline called TM8. TM8's 8 friction-fighting ingredients significantly reduce engine bearing wear. Even in high-temperature conditions, adding TM8 gives oil up to twice the protection. Hey, driving 150 miles an hour is tough on engines, but so is hardly moving at all. TM8 from Valvoline, because driving is more stop-and-go.
You got it? Great. No, I need it now. I'm out of stock. What do you do when you don't have the right steering pump? And one of your customers needs it? Not tomorrow, but now. You drive 2.5 hours to get one. And try to smile when you deliver it. Even though you didn't make much on the job. I've done it before. And I'll do it again. But not too often, I hope.
Parts Plus. Not just parts. Parts Plus.
You're not going to go home and leave this half finished, are you?
I got 6 days, Dad. We'll make it.
At Glidden, we know how hard it can be to find time to paint. That's why Spread House Paint is formulated to cover the first time, so you can finish in less time.
I guess you'll be going back early then.
I thought I might stick around for a few days.
All right.
Glidden, a better way to paint.
But don't expect me to cook for you.
The Thomas Alva Edison of vertical domination, Tony. Come on. Hey, fly boy, I'm changing a bulb while you're up there.
The X Games, coming soon.
Welcome back to Michigan, where the AutoZone race recap will show you that Perry Tripp is the leader of the race right now. He's led the last 2 laps. We've had 9 lead changes, 3 caution periods, total of 13 laps, and the average speed 140.868 miles an hour. Lap leaders include Kelly Denton, Ron Barfield, Tim Steele, Harris Devane, and the 66 car of Mark Thompson. Also, of course, the current leader, Perry Tripp.
Perry Tripp's been out a couple times out front on super speedways this season. He led 6 laps at Charlotte and also 3 or 4 at Talladega.
A lot of cars have dropped out of the race, including both of the Bouchers and Kalita. There you see a lot of the attrition that has gone on. 17 cars, as a matter of fact, are on the racetrack right now as we get set for the restart. Third caution period just coming to a close was for Harris Devane's accident up in turns number 3 and 4. But here is Perry Tripp taking the green flag as the leader of this race with 23 laps to go. And Tripp begins to stand on the accelerator and pull away a little bit.
Wow, and he has only made 1 pit stop, and that was for fuel about the halfway mark. Had the same tires on all day, we understand, and the other cars have new tires on it. That's going to be interesting.
Here's Barfield going for 3rd position. Kelly Denton coming right behind him. So Barfield and Denton are both moving up, and there is Tim Steele going to the inside of Bobby Gerhardt. But both of those cars are a lap down. Let's get a recap on the most recent round of pit stops from Bill Weber.
Well, the big story there was Ron Barfield. He thought he had a tire going down. They came in, put 4 on, took the 4 old ones off, and he did not have a tire going down, so they're disappointed about that. But the new tires should help him here in the last 20 laps. as he moves around Mark Thompson. Also, Perry Tripp, as you guys mentioned, made one stop, lap 50, fuel only. So his tires, they're hoping, can go the distance here. We'll keep an eye on him, but we'll see if Barfield can also carve his way through the field. The 16 of Steele also stopped, got 4 tires, made a tremendous chassis adjustment during that last round of pit stops.
Well, Kelly Denton is going to be somebody also to be reckoned with. There he is, right behind Ron Barfield in 3rd position, and they are closing in now on Perry Tripp big time.
Yeah, Tripp had opened up a good lead there on that first lap after the restart, but now that they've sorted themselves out behind them, got by the lap traffic and everything, they are definitely closing in on him.
Well, Perry's had a couple of good runs, as I mentioned, this year, but his favorite track has to be Michigan. His best career super speedway finish came here 1 year ago. He finished 9th on this particular racetrack, but I think he likes where he's running right now a little better.
I would believe that, too. His best finish was 5th at Salem in his career. But now Ron Barfield and Kelly Denton are right on the rear spoiler, and Barfield may be ready to make a move into turn number 1. He moves to the inside. And Perry Tripp holds off the challenge for the moment.
One thing that we've seen here this afternoon, Bob, is tough to pass going into the turn. Your car gets loose when you get down under another one, and he's going to have to set him up and pass him coming off the turn to do it without too much danger of losing it.
Ned, most of the drivers will tell us that the very best lap they ever get out of the tires is the first lap, and that's why I thought Ron Barfield might be able to make a little quicker run on Perry Tripp there, but it doesn't seem to be the case.
And another battle behind those running up front. That's Blaze Alexander, Tim Steele there in the 16. He is a lap down again in 7th position, so Tim Steele's hope of taking over the all-time winningest super speedway driver in ARCA today, his hopes have been dashed.
And it also is going to be his worst finish of the year if he winds up in 7th position, 1 lap down. His worst finishing position so far is 6th, and that's the only time he's been out of the top 5 in all the races this year.
That's for sure, but he will have a number of opportunities to try to break that record throughout the season. We come back here to Michigan in July on July 27th, and we go to Pocono the week before that on July 20th. The next 2 races for the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series are short track races around July 4th. On July 7th, they'll be at Flat Rock Speedway just south of Detroit, and then on Sunday night, they'll be at Toledo Speedway.
Ron Barfield still looking for the opportunity to pass Perry Tripp, but Perry is doing a great job here, hanging on to the lead. There are 82 laps completed, 18 to go.
I am impressed with Perry Tripp being able to stay out there in front with those tires that he's had on all day long, and Barfield with new tires on.
Perry began racing back in 1979. Veteran of sprints, midgets, modifieds, super modifieds, late model dirt, USAC Silver Crown Division, trying to get his first stock car win this afternoon, but Barfield is knocking on the door once again.
I think it's a real tribute to the tires that they're running here that he can run that long on a set of tires and still be that competitive.
Kelly Denton is also right there in 3rd position. The car back there in 4th, not keeping up, but then again not letting him get too far ahead is Mark Thompson.
Bobby Rahilly's been building the motors for Perry Tripp in his super speedway racing, and that's an old Larry Hedrick car, formerly a number 41 Winston Cup car, so it's also a pretty good piece of equipment there, but Perry's really doing a nice job at the wheel.
We're still on race record. 133 the record, and 136 is the pace that we are on now, despite that rather lengthy caution period that we had for the cleanup of the Harris Devane accident.
Well, Mark Thompson is slowly closing in on the threesome up front. Whether he'll have enough momentum once he gets to them to just run on by anyone, time will tell. And he has a good run there coming off as Kelly Denton started to act like he wanted to make a move on Ron Barfield, but couldn't do it. Now here's Barfield now going to the inside. He tried it once before. Can he make it this time? No. He has to back off.
Do you suppose Kelly Denton has changed his driving style now after running into number 33? He went right up on Barfield coming off 4 there, where Barfield probably runs the slowest on the racetrack, and he backed off.
Yep, could be. Could very well be. You're watching a field summary here where your favorite driver is in the serial right now with 15 laps to go.
a number of trucking companies, the sponsorship for Perry Tripp. He's got WW Transport and also PTI. These are a couple of different companies that sponsor Perry. He's having a great run, but I think Barfield's going to get him this time down the front straightaway.
Well, he's looking pretty good here into turn number 1, and yes, Ron Barfield takes the lead from Perry Tripp.
He got in there far enough up in front of him that time that he could go up and use that second lane, and that's what he needed to do.
So 14 laps to go, 13 and a half laps as a matter of fact. Can Ron Barfield hold on and win here at Michigan? Stay with us. We'll be back in a moment.
To get the most out of this Indy car, Patrick Racing put Scott Pruitt behind the wheel. They built a team that could get it in and out of the pits in the blink of an eye. And they chose a battery they can depend on to get it started. The Duralast battery from AutoZone. The same Duralast you can depend on to start your car. So don't settle for anything less. The Duralast battery. Power you can depend on.
The full range of Pirelli tires at your Pirelli retailer today. Pirelli tires. Power is nothing without control.
They lead. They encourage. They inspire. And finally, they watch. As America's home improvement coaches, the people of the Home Depot believe in building dreams, just like the coaches of the athletes of the 1996 Olympic Games. We're also proud to include custom building products in our Home Depot Olympic family. They strive to be the best, just like we do every day at the Home Depot.
The new Kawasaki Vulcan 1500 Classic, with the biggest V-twin ever to hit the asphalt. You've never felt anything like it.
Welcome back to Michigan and the closing laps of the Meijer Allsport 200, the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series in action here at Michigan International. It's Ron Barfield now in the lead. Mark Thompson second, Denton is third, Tripp fourth. Here's how all the shuffling took place, Ned.
Well, as they were coming off there, look how close the 86 car got on Perry Tripp. Had to back off there just a moment, and when he backed off, here comes Mark Thompson in the black 66 down on the inside, so he was able to get around Kelly Denton, and then he went up a little bit. That put him into third place. See how close they came there. He's in second now. Of course, started in last place, and
he might win this race after all.
He's that's pretty impressive.
Might become the bride today, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I think I'm a little bit concerned about the 86 car, Kelly Denton. When he made contact with Harris Devane, it may have shut off one of the front air dams there, because that car appears to be getting a little hot. There was some overflow water coming out of the front end of that race car.
Ron Barfield appears to have things under control right now with 9 laps to go. And a reminder coming up here on ESPN, the Senior PGA Tour, round 2 of the Bell Atlantic Classic from Malvern, Pennsylvania. Bob Strobel, 5 under, is the leader. And we're going to have a first-time ARCA winner here, aren't we, if any of these first 4 win the race?
Yeah, absolutely. Ron Barfield, you know, it's uncharacteristic to think that he hasn't won because he's run so well in all the super speedways. But last week at Pocono was the first time he's ever led a race, which was kind of surprising to me because he's always up there in the top 5. He would be a first-time winner. Also, Mark Thompson, Kelly Denton, Perry Tripp, Jill Whittemore, or Blaze Alexander. So,
and now here's Denton moving to second around Mark Thompson from the Bud 1 airship.
Thompson car appeared to push just a little bit coming off of turn 2 there, and it gave Denton the space that he needed, and he took advantage of it and moved on around.
So now Bill Weber, Kelly is up to second place and setting his sights on Barfield.
And that crew's pretty excited. They said that car would be loose with a full tank of fuel. but as Kelly burns off the fuel, the car gets tighter and tighter, so he's having to adjust, but he's still moving forward and hopes to wrap up and capture the 94 here, maybe go on to the win.
There is Kelly Denton in second position, and the interval up to the leader, Ron Barfield. Barfield, as I said, has things pretty much in hand right now, but there's a long way to go, 6.5 laps.
Well, he's getting close enough now, Bob, that he might pick up a little sniff of the draft from Barfield's car on the straightaways here, and that could help him to pull up there. He still has Mark Thompson. I'm talking about Kelly Denton. Has Mark Thompson fairly close to him, behind him. So, I don't know. I think he's got a tough chore in catching Ron Barfield.
Yeah, I do too. But we will see here. Jay Siegel has taken over the lead in the golf tournament that's coming up right after our race here. So stay tuned for that. Ron Barfield, a rookie in ARCA competition this year, 16th in points coming in. This is only his 6th race of 1996, and the pace of this race continues to be on record.
You know, he won a Slim Jim race at Bristol, Tennessee, where our other crew is going to be tonight for auto racing, and he came into this series basically after being noticed by Ernie Elliott. Of course, Casey Elliott, who passed away earlier this year, was running in the Slim Jim All-Pro Series and against Ron Barfield quite often, and Ernie was there watching him race, and he said, you know, I think this kid has a lot of talent.
Whoa, all of a sudden he's within a car lane.
When they got in that traffic, Bob, in turns 3 and 4, and Barfield had to back off just a little bit, weave his way through that traffic. It opened up for Kelly Denton, and he just motored right on up there to the back bumper of Barfield.
So now we're going to see if Barfield can pull away, but in that traffic, he lost his lead considerably. And he does begin to pull away just a little bit, but Denton staying within about 4 or 5 car lengths. They come down to complete lap number 96. 4 to go. 79,000 people are on hand here for this preliminary race, if you will, to tomorrow's NASCAR Winston Cup Miller 400. What a great crowd watching this race here this afternoon.
Well, the crowds have been excellent all season long in this ARCA Bondo Marhide Series. Of course, we went to Charlotte for the first time since 1964, and they had an awesome crowd there. We were there with the same weekend of the IROC Series and the NASCAR Winston Select, and that was a really great race there. Kelly Denton had a great run there as he was on the pole down in Charlotte. And Blaze Alexander's another driver we need to make a mention. He's had a pretty strong season. He almost won that race at Charlotte, and he also had a short track race in the bag at Killcare Speedway a couple of weeks ago, and he's running 6th.
There are 6 cars on the lead lap, and Blaze is in 6th position. 5th place is Dill Whittemore, and of course Perry Tripp, Mark Thompson, Kelly Denton, and Ron Barfield are your top 4.
Perry Tripp and Dill Whittemore, as you mentioned at the top of the show, Bob, only have a 5-point differential in the season-long point standing, and although we're only halfway in this 1996 season, every point counts, whether it's qualifying or in the race, and Perry Tripp and Dill running within only 5 points of themselves right now in the race, with Perry in 4th and Dill in 5th.
The leaders are coming up on some more traffic now, Bob. Don't know how it might affect the leaders, but going into turn 1, they're coming up on 2 cars.
And less than 2 laps to go, and once again, Denton has a great run there in the second corner coming off the turn. And I thought he was going to make a move on Barfield, but not so.
I think he backed off also. They came up on that traffic, and Barfield had to lift momentarily, and I think Kelly Denton saw that, didn't want to run into him, get into a situation like he did with Harris Devane, so he backed off.
And Denton got right beside Craig Rube right there in the Zapp's Potato Chip number 45 as they got right in the center of the turn, and that's got to be the hardest place there.
We're listening to radio conversation as the white flag comes out. 1 to go. Denton again closes in, gets a little loose.
Yeah, the car was wiggling as it came off of turn 2. He'll try to pick up the draft.
Back straight. Get a run on him off 3, Kelly. Drive that thing down the racetrack, all the way down toward Dayford, if you can get a run on him.
He did didn't do it. It was Ron Barfield that crossed the line just a car length ahead of Kelly Denton, and Ron Barfield wins. Here comes the 56 car of Dill Whittemore and Blaze Alexander, 5th and 6th. They've got Steele between them, and Whittemore is going to finish 5th. Blaze Alexander in 6th position. Bill is with the winning crew chief of Ron Barfield.
And it's a big, big celebration down here. Russ Bales, congratulations. A great win for you guys.
Yeah, we'd really like to thank the good Lord for a safe race today, and thank our sponsors, Super 8 Motels and New Holland. They came on board this year, and they've really stuck with us, and we're glad we could finally put a car in victory lane for them.
Denton was charging there at the end. You held him off. Denton was really coming.
Yeah, Denton's a pretty good little race car driver, and he's got a good car. I think our pit crew is made up mainly from different Winston Cup teams. We just kind of all came together last weekend at Pocono, and they seemed to work pretty good together, and we had a little better pit stops than he did, and you know, we made some chassis changes on that last stop, and it seemed to really bring the car around.
Okay, we're going to victory lane. They had 2 Chevrolet guys and 2 Pontiac guys from Winston Cup teams working on a Ford down here, and it worked out pretty good.
There's the winner, Barfield. Denton, Thompson, and Perry Tripp, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all their best career finishes. We'll be back to talk with Ron in a moment.
Some of the most admired cars you'll see are owned by the guys who know cars best. They're ASC certified master mechanics, and the #1 brand of motor oil these guys use in their own cars and trucks is Valvoline, makers of Durablend, the leading semi-synthetic for a cleaner engine due to better control of harmful deposits. So use the oil the mechanics who take care of your car use to take care of theirs. Valvoline. People who know use Valvoline.
There's no place I'd rather be.
Up in heaven.
Am I a fan of the senior tour? Absolutely. Chi-Chi, Raymond, Murph. How can you not love those guys? Of course, being God, I love everyone.
But answering prayers, forgiving sins, it must be hard to catch every event.
Oh, not when you're all seeing it isn't. Plus, if I'm really strapped for time, I'll just rain an event out and watch it the following year.
Any suggestions on ESPN's coverage?
Fewer blimp shots. I'm getting tired of watching things from above.
Welcome back to Michigan, and a reminder that coming up next in just a few moments, it's the 2nd round of the Bell Atlantic Classic Senior PGA Tour, where Jay Siegel and John Schroeder are now tied for the lead. Victory lane time and Bill Weber.
And Ron Barfield is in victory lane. He's about to climb out of his Super 8 Ford. And Bill Elliott, I know you're watching. Hopefully this will make you feel a whole lot better, because here he comes, the winner today here at Michigan, Ron Barfield. And they love it. Congratulations. That's a great, great day for you.
Well, you know, first of all, my hat's off to Kelly Denton and all these guys in this ARCA series. They drove me a heck of a job today. And, you know, I got to thank the guys at the shop, and got to thank the sponsor, Super 8, and, you know, I got to say, hey, Bill, how you doing? And, you know, hey, Granddaddy, I told you I'd do it first time I was in victory lane. And, hey, first win for Bill Elliott and Charles Hardy. I'm tickled to death.
And Ernie Elliott played a big role in this, too, for you.
Oh, yeah, you know, he's up on top of the truck helping me out. I mean, you know, this complete McDonald's team's been helping me out all weekend long. And, you know, I can't say enough for them. You know, like I say, Super 8 Motels and all the sponsors here, you know, tickled to death.
You told me before the green flag, the laps you ran in the Winston Cup car helped you here. Explain that.
Oh, yeah, well, I got in behind some of the Winston Cup drivers, and they helped me get around the racetrack a little bit better than I was. And, you know, like I say, Kelly Denton there at last didn't cut me no slack, and, you know, appreciate him running me clean.
You had a great run going in the truck series. You really took a bit of a risk moving over to try some Busch Brand National stuff and coming back here to ARCA, but this is a big payoff for you, because this is the experience you want in these cars on these tracks.
Well, you know, just like Bill said, I mean, he said get some time around here around these big tracks, and, you know, I think we got a little time here at Michigan this weekend, and, you know, I'll take it what I got this week and go on to the next, and, you know, like I say, I got to thank the guys at the shop. They did put a heck of a race car into me this time, and, yeah, We'll see y'all Monday.
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, man.
Ron Barfield, the winner here at Michigan today, and a great win it is for him, Bill Elliott, and this entire team.
And he becomes the 8th different winner in 10 races here at Michigan, and the 57th ARCA driver to win on a super speedway. There's the Bud 1 airship hovering over Michigan International Speedway that has provided some excellent overhead shots of our competition here this afternoon. And we can show you now who finished behind Ron Barfield in the unofficial results. 6 cars were on the lead lap at the end of the race. Tim Steele finished in 7th position, a lap down. And all in all, some very exciting competition here and a great run by Ron Barfield.
And, of course, a lot of different strategy used, and that shuffled things up there for a little while. But we had a very high attrition rate here this afternoon. You can see how many cars were out of the race from 17th on back.
Yep. And there are the last 3 drivers in our unofficial results rundown. The average speed, a new record here at Michigan for ARCA, 142.489.
Dodge Dakota is #1 in resale versus Ford, Chevy, and GMC. #1 in passenger room, even #1 in cargo room. In fact, Dodge Dakotas are #1 in more categories versus any compact. So it should come as no surprise that across America, Dodge pickups are #1 in sales growth. Now get up to $3,500 off Dodge Dakota, including $1,000 cash back. Own a new Dakota Sport with air and cassette after cash back for just $197 a month.
Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant Ford sales leader. But how do they sell more Fords for less? Well, until now, they've done it with volume pricing and volume selection. But now, Sarasota Ford introduces their price protection guarantee, which assures Ford buyers the lowest possible price. And we'll even put that in writing. Volume pricing, volume selection, and now low price guarantee. No wonder more Ford buyers pick Sarasota Ford, the Gulf Coast giant volume sales leader.
Soul of a race car, horsepower by the truckload. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series presents the Coca-Cola 200 from Bristol, Tennessee, tonight at 9 on ESPN.
Once again, coming up next, the second round of the Bell Atlantic Classic. It's Jay Siegel and John Schroeder tied for the lead here in the second round. We'll be going to Malvern, Pennsylvania before too long. Now tonight here on ESPN and ESPN2 over on the Deuce at 6:30, the roll for the pole and the Indy cars go for it at the Budweiser G.I. Joe's 200 at Portland. We've got action from Bristol Motor Speedway tonight at 7:30. It's the All-Pro Powerade 250, followed immediately by the Coca-Cola 200. That's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Race. Here's Bill Weber.
A lot of people talking about Ron Barfield, Kelly Denton, but a lot of people talking about you today. A great run.
Thank you. Tell you, man. We got a heck of a lot of help from the Kodak team. I want to thank all them guys. One of Rusty's guys jumped in, helped us on our pit stop. The guys on the crew, man, they was excellent. Ron had that car running good, and you know, we started on that first set of tires. The car run great, and I was checking out on them, and we come back in, put on another set, and the car started shaking. And Devane got by me, but I was better than Devane on the long runs, and I guess I got him loose with the air, pulling the air up off his spoiler. Next thing I know, he's turning around. It's like he almost stopped, but you know, it happens. It's racing.
Yeah, you closed in on him. You closed in on him in a hurry.
Yeah, I was really good getting in, and I would carry so much speed down in the turn. And if they wasn't, you know, getting on the gas about the same place every time, you'd just end up getting into them sooner or later.
You're unsponsored too.
Yeah, we don't have any sponsors on the car this race. We've had we've had some sponsors in the past, one race deals, but we're looking for a corporate sponsor to go on the car and help us out, try and get us up there winning a few of these.
23-year-old Kelly Denton, great run here today. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, indeed. Kelly finishes second to Ron Barfield. And when we return to Michigan International Speedway and the Meijer Allsport 200, won by Barfield, we will take a look at the point standings as this 12th race of the year has been completed. A bit of a shakeup in the point standings. So come back for that in just a moment.
If more top mechanics use one motor oil over any other brand in their own cars and trucks, Maybe it's time you changed your oil. Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics.
Enter the Performance Zone with Split-Fire Performance V spark plugs.
You hit your passing gear, you're gone.
Experts say Split-Fire Performance V spark plugs mean more horsepower and better mileage.
The difference in gas mileage has been fantastic.
Enter the Performance Zone only with Split-Fire Performance Vs, guaranteed. And now you could win a limited edition 97 Mustang Cobra. Enter the Split-Fire Performance V sweepstakes.
What do you get when you cross a high-quality conventional motor oil with an advanced formula synthetic? A revolutionary oil that protects better than regular oils, yet costs less than full synthetics. DuraBlend from Valvoline. Valvoline's the #1 choice of top mechanics.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Meijer Allsport 200 from Michigan being brought to you by Valvoline DuraBlend, the #1 selling semi-synthetic motor oil. By the more than 1,325 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. And by the NASCAR Story. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR. Well, we'll take a look at the points, but first let's tell you what you can expect tomorrow on ESPN and ESPN2. It begins on the Deuce with RPM today. That's at noon, 12:30 NASCAR today, immediately preceding the start of the NASCAR Winston Cup race here at Michigan. That will be over on CBS. On the Grid at 3:30 prior to the IndyCar race, and then RPM tonight wraps it all up at 8 o'clock Eastern Time tomorrow night. Now let's take a look at the points, and we had, as I indicated, a bit of a shakeup as Harris Devane has gone into second position. Bobby Boucher down to third. Blaze Alexander and Ed Dixon hold on to their fourth and fifth places in the point standings. And we say goodbye to Ray Dunlap, who has to go do other things. Thanks for being with us.
Great being with you. We had the 8th different winner of our first 12 events in the ARCA Bondo Marhide Series, and I think it was a very exciting race and a great crowd on hand today here at Michigan.
You bet. Thanks, Ray. Here's Bill Weber.
With Mark Thompson, our pole sitter, who, well, the real emotional roller coaster the last 24 hours, a great race for you. Not bad for a backup car. You came home third.
Yeah, it was quite a good backup car as it turned out. But, you know, to go from the pole, then lose the car, start at the end, and get in a car that we haven't been in years, and get back up to third, we were pretty happy with it. The guys worked all night last night to get the backup car ready for the race, and I'm real pleased with how well everything worked out.
You really had to battle it there for a while to try and get it dialed back in.
Yeah, it was real loose at the beginning of the race, and we needed those pit stops to make some adjustments because we didn't really know. And towards about lap 80, we had it pretty well dialed in. Got a bad push towards the end.
Okay, that's Mark Thompson. Got his first pole here.
I want to say hey to all the guys out at Midway, and I'll be there Wednesday.
That's Midway Island. He's on his way out there to rest after that fine run here today, guys.
Yeah, he did have a good run for Mark Thompson. You wonder what he would have been able to do had he been in his regular car and started from the pole position. We're going to be back to wrap it up here in just a moment. Golf is coming up next, the second round of the Senior PGA, when we return. Stay with us.
They have sale prices on top of their everyday low prices.
The produce is always fresh.
Getting a battery charger for motorcycles.
Just bought a toaster for my daughter.
Tennis shoes.
Hammers, nails.
You can find just about anything in here. I love your sales. Can't beat it.
You didn't pay.
They never do. Now Snickers is even more peanuts. Tons of them.
Presenting Armor All Vinyl Siding Wash. Just spray it on, wait 5 minutes, then rinse it off with a hose. And look, why, it's the greatest invention since vinyl siding. Armor All Vinyl Siding Wash.
There's no track in the world that's tougher on brakes than the one in Martinsville, Virginia. And when drivers take the green flag here, they all have one thing in common, the same brand of brakes. Because without them, you can't come down this straightaway at 120 miles an hour and still make it through the turn. So which brand do the top drivers use to get them through 500 laps at Martinsville? Performance Friction Carbon Metallic. And we stock them at AutoZone.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway near Brooklyn, Michigan, a beautiful facility that has hosted the Meijer Allsport 200 for the ARCA Bondo Marhite Series here today. And flying above the speedway all day, the Budweiser airship, providing some excellent shots from overhead. Thank you guys very much for your help here this afternoon. And also a salute to Racing Electronics, who provide the in-car and other radio communications that we utilize throughout our telecast. So thank you to Racing Electronics. Well, we're going to wrap things up here, but first we're going to take a look at the results of this event. Ron Barfield wins for the first time in his ARCA career. Kelly Denton is in second position. And don't forget now, golf is coming up in just a moment, so stay with us for that. For Ned Jarrett and Ray Dunlap and Bill Weber, I'm Bob Jenkins. Thank you for joining us here at Michigan today. For now, so long, everyone. And here's Stuart Scott.
Thanks, Bob.